Hello, my name is Ann Wilkinson, and welcome to Little Bit of Heaven. This is the home of Hands-On Health and Amoga Life. Hands-On Health gives me the opportunity to be an advocate for you in your health care and to help you negotiate your doctors and your lawyers and your healing from an injury. Amoga Life is an educational opportunity. I'm here to help your soul, your mind, and your body to experience a life beyond anything that you can imagine. I was gifted the Sanskrit name Amoga in India about 8 years ago. And it means that there's some things that are good, and there's some things that are better, and there's some things that there's just no comparison. And I'd like to help you have an Amoga life. It is so nice to meet you, and I look forward to serving you. Have a wonderful day.
Delaware.
I was born in Little Italy, Wilmington. Well,
Okay.
it's kind of funny. You know, Delaware's a little bit different. It's very conservative, and so is my family. My family's very city-like. And I was always kind of a strange bird. No one could quite figure out why, not even myself. I mean, even when I was in college, and I went to college quite some time ago, and I did reports on acupuncture and TM, I didn't even know what they were. No one had ever in the history of the physical therapy program done reports on those topics. Excuse me, it was interesting. I guess when I went to visit Italy about 17 years ago, I found out that my great-grandmother was a midwife for a village that was at the base of a mountain very close to an ocean. And all of a sudden I knew why I'm who I am. When I was 8 years old, and it was one of my fellow classmates that sat behind me that I ran into about a decade ago that reminded me, the teacher said to me, "What would you like to be when you grow up?" And I said, "I want to be a doctor, but I want to be a doctor for people who are alive and to help them to live better. I don't want to give them anesthesia and I don't want to give them medicine." Well, you ask, how does an 8-year-old have that insight? I was born with a birth defect of my right hand. These two fingers were one, and this finger this bone was not completely developed. So they were going to let this kind of curl under and chop this finger off and just give me pinchers. But I became a part of an experiment, and this is called syndactyly. And the experiment was that they cut these, and that they put a little pin in the bone just to support this finger. It doesn't have a knuckle. I have full strength. And the doctors were so pleased with the results that they wouldn't take it to the next phase. But I had maybe 8 surgeries between 6 months old and 12 years old. There was another phase that was supposed to happen at 16 that would make this hand look just like this hand. And they said they absolutely refused to touch me again because should I get an infection or anything, that it would, make me not be able to use my hand. I was devastated. I had always thought that I always looked forward to that final result, It probably took me till the age of 42 to get over it, really seriously. It really had an emotional overlay for me, I think that all of that led into what I do for a living. Because I noticed that most of the people who don't respond to the physical therapy that is in a gym where there's 30 people around and they're doing exercises, everybody's doing the same exercise, whether you're a knee, whether you're a back, whether you're a disc back or you're a post-fusion, everybody's doing the same thing. They're swapping the ultrasound machines, the electrical stim machines. Aides are running around moving people through the stations. The physical therapists are wearing 3-piece suits, drinking a cup of coffee, signing Medicare forms. I have to tell you, I put myself through school. I worked so hard. And I did not work that hard to come out and act like a chimpanzee. I just refused. And I knew early on in my career. So I've always played this like the strange bird kind of person. In my family, when I got into PT, and it's only because I feel like I was given information kind of ahead of time. I was using ice before they were using ice. I was using homeopathy way before you could get it in a Rite Aid. So people called the little pellets witchcraft, and they gave me a really hard time, but I knew in my heart I was right, and I'm passionate, and I stayed extremely focused on what I knew in my gut. It was like I knew here that what I was doing was right. And I may not have had one person support me, but when I did meet people, it was like I was like a sponge, and it's just awesome when you meet like-minded people and we would share back and forth, and I kind of feel like we're planted, but I feel like I got planted in a pretty tough area. I feel like I was a beacon of light in a really pretty dark place for a long time, and even when people became enlightened around here, it was very underground. So I felt rather lonely, and I really wanted to leave, and I used to pray all the time, and I used to go far away to get filled back up and then come back. But I'm starting to feel more now that this particular farm that I've created supports what I do. It's almost kind of proof, because it really is very luscious and very full of life. And when people step foot here, even people who don't have a spiritual foundation, they feel it. And they might even not know what to call what they feel, but they start to describe it. And they all describe the same thing. And they all describe this as a little bit of heaven. You'll notice there's not even a sign, but people will say, you bought a little bit of heaven. This place is a little bit of heaven. Why is it so cool under this tree? You come down the driveway, it's 20 degrees cooler, but under this tree, you feel the breeze right now. Why is there a breeze under the tree when there's not another leaf moving, around here? I believe in angels, and I believe in electromagnetics and biodynamics and the unseen. And my work is done on the fascial system. And I was so excited to find out in the last decade, maybe less than that there's microtubules of light in our fascia. So it means that if we were to block every hole, that could send any information into our body, anything from the outside world, that there's still light in there. When we die, we lose 3 grams of weight. When we come back, if we are resuscitated on the table and weighed again, we gain 3 grams back. If we die again, we lose 3 grams. Well, there's something that's unseen that leaves and comes. It comes and goes. And to me, that's the fascia, holding that light. The fascia to me is the seat of the soul. It's my goal through some books that I'm working on, and it's my goal to be a part of proving that the seat of the soul is in that there is an interface between the physicality of the body and the unseen, the etheric, the esoteric aspect. And that's where I treat, and that's where emotions lie. It's where stuck patterns that no matter how much ultrasound, no matter how much the therapist cranks on it, you go over here, there's something there that's actually really was pulling down on the shoulder. That kind of, I'd like to teach therapists, whether it's massage therapists or physical therapists. The physical therapists have all this incredible medical background, but the way physical therapy has moved toward catering to the insurance companies, they've also come into a hands-on kind of status. And they want to be seen, as the same status as the doctors. So they're very hands-off. And the massage therapists have kind of come in, really hands-on. Maybe they don't have the training, but they're using their intuition. And they're following patient, the patient guidance. Patients are saying, I feel that in my foot when they're touching the head. A physical therapist might say, oh, come on now. The shin bone is connected to the butt. They're not really in touch with that spiritual, electromagnetic, biodynamic, fascial influence. And that makes them lose credibility, even though really, if you came down to book knowledge and you came down to credentials, they far surpass. But there's this missing link there that I really hope to help the physical therapist become hands-on, warm again, and that I hope to help the massage therapist feel more confident, and that their intuition speaks volumes and speaks initials and letters after the name far beyond, what our present day model that represents. Community is huge. I unfortunately for a long time had to go far away to get fed from my community. Around here there really wasn't, and I was really lonely. And I was lucky if I could go to a bar or a social venue and actually meet someone that I could relate to. It was a real happenstance type of a situation. And like I said, a lot of the holistic people were very underground. So what's been kind of interesting for me as this farm has begun to develop over the last 11 years, I noticed that, you attract clients. Then I would attract people who wanted to live here and work here who were also broken, and that doesn't work. I can't pay someone and fix them too. I'm used to that people pay or, offer support to the farm financially for me to do my work. But for this 10 years, I really had to learn about boundaries for myself, and also to stay very committed, very, very, very committed, even to my own people in my own family. I've had to recently say to my college roommate who came to visit one time, and I had to say, look, we don't smoke cigarettes here. We don't eat cheesesteaks, and we don't do shots of tequila. You're trying to buck the system here. You're trying to move it. And I have to tell you it's going to so not work that you're not welcome here anymore. That was huge for me. But I've noticed that since I've created those kinds of boundaries around here, the people that are coming, as far as people who want to work and live, are of such a higher frequency. And if I would have known that that's all that I had to do, rather than it was my fault, it was my responsibility that I wasn't taking, I was trying to please everybody. I was kind of just like, anybody who will come, I'll take you, as far as community. And unfortunately, if you're going to create a community, you do have to have boundaries and some kind of a gatekeeping. I mean, you can't just open the floodgates. You certainly can offer help, and there can be certain times that other people can come in and see how you live, but you just can't have any person come into a community that has a certain vibration. Let's put it this way. If I hold a high vibration, if I hold that, a person coming in is going to raise their vibration. If I try to meet their vibration just to make a harmony, my vibration will lower. Unfortunately, that's going to then pull in other lower vibrations. I mean, I know that now. As my own personal experiment, I know that. So in order to have a community, whatever that core is, if it's a one person, if it's a family, if it's a couple, if it's friends or whatever, you need to have a common frequency, a common set of standards. And you need to hold that very firmly. And then as people vibrate to that at that same level, that they're allowed more or less to park inside the community. Other people are visitors, and they're certainly welcome to see how they may raise their vibration better, or maybe they're even of a higher one and they come here and lift you a little more, or whatever. But this needs to be very consistent and very solid, that foundation. And I don't mean just like that the concrete pad is, situated right and level. There's an energetic, there's a spiritual, there's an energetic, there's a mindset, there's intention, there's integrity. I'm saying that all those unseen aspects of a community need to be very clearly acknowledged. There needs to be an awareness. Each cell has its energy. Each body has its energy. Each household has an energy. Each family. Each community has an energy. Each state has an energy. Each nation. Probably each planet, each galaxy. I'm sure there's more than we can know. I mean, when you cross state lines. When you leave Newark and you're in Elkton. It goes from funky, get down, jamming music to, yo, I love my pickup truck. I mean, like that, okay? So the bottom line is every entity has its energy. And I really believe that we can only judge where we're going by where we are going. So I can tell you just for me personally, the magnitude of shift and growth that I've had is huge. And we have to deal with the wars within ourselves. What are the things that cause us maybe to be jealous or angry or inharmonious? And then we need to face them and confront them head on. I did plenty of years of avoiding them in all kinds of ways and skirting around them and blaming and doing all that. And I've really recently just faced everything to where I literally had a stack of paperwork that represented that, to where now it's like 2 pages of things that are in the end of being refined, and but I couldn't delegate them to a secretary, a manager, a psychologist, a family member, anything. I had to confront these things head on and move through them. Now, the good thing about there being, like you said, is it good or bad or whatever, I think that we may never appreciate splendor and bliss and harmony and peace had we not just tasted, had we not just smelled, touched the opposite, the duality. Maybe we'd be bored or take it for granted, but I think for me personally, say for this particular energy body here, the fact that I've tasted all that other makes me so, I get up every morning and I do my meditation and I write my grateful list. And before I used to do it because I heard that it would make my life better, and so I knew that if I became disciplined. But now I do it with the knowing that I've been somewhere else before and that this is just so much better, and that in order for me to keep that momentum, that's the plant that I want to feed and water and nurture. And that the old plant, that I'll let that kind of wither and die. Maybe I don't have to use Roundup or a bomb on it, but I could just maybe not feed it, and it would kind of decompose and offer itself to make another more beautiful